And there we go. Hello, everybody. Scott Sandlin here on a Tuesday night for all things hypnosis and HPTI. Those of you who are watching live get to see me on video. Lucky you guys, I guess. And the rest of you who watch the recording, and an overwhelming majority of people who participate in this class do it asynchronously, meaning they watch the video later, which is how I watch all of my TV these days, with the exception of sports. So I'm totally cool with that, and I just hope that those of you who are watching the recordings are enjoying these as well, although those of you who are live, you get the benefit of interactive questions. The thing I want to talk about today is a series of things that got brought up via email. I've been getting some really cool emails and Facebook messages and messages on HypnoThoughts with questions that people want and topics that people want for this class. So we're going to talk about all that. Those of you guys know, if you guys are seeing my screen there, you can see all the classes that HPTI offers. Of course, the classes on the right are separate from the grid of 12 classes on the left. The classes on the right have the live component, which means each one of those classes will happen once a month. And it will be a month-long or 2-week-long class. And those instructors will be there for live Q&A. The classes on the left happen asynchronously, which means you can take those classes anytime you want. And it's really fun because you can just learn at your schedule. You know, we have a suggested pace for you to do it in the number of videos you should take every week and the quizzes and the reading and all those things. But of course, you know, we've got some students at HPTI that are blasting through stuff at about 150% the speed of normal, which means they can get the year-long program done in about 9 months, which really is awesome. And that's if they take every single course. Of course, you can take any one course by itself at HPTI. So just looking at that, you can see some of the classes. The QUIT program we just added on stop smoking strategies, and we're adding other classes. We're really excited. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce this yet. I don't know if we have paperwork yet. But I don't think he'd mind, and he's a great dude. We're really excited that Sean Michael Andrews is going to be doing some work with us. And Sean and I have known each other for a long, long time. In fact, since before he called himself Sean. And I don't know if he goes into that in the class. But, you know, so we've got some other cool classes and a few others on conversational stuff, things like that coming up that we're figuring out. So we're adding classes. So that's neat. But before we get into that, and before we get into the topics that were emailed to me, I want to bring up what Hillary and I were just chatting. Hillary got in to the class about 5 minutes early, and so Hillary and I were just, and a couple other people, mostly just Hillary and I tonight. It's fun when people get here early. We just kind of chat off the record and just kind of brainstorm. And Hillary asked me about Asperger's and autism as it relates to hypnosis. And so the first piece of that is, technically, there's no such thing as Asperger's anymore. It's all in DSM-5. It's all categorized as the autism spectrum. I know we don't classify and all that stuff, but it's important to give that information that, technically speaking, in terms of diagnosing, there's no such thing as Asperger's. It is just mild, high-functioning autism. That said, I don't know if I'm no expert, but I don't think I like that. I think calling Asperger's and keeping it separate makes a little bit more sense to me. You know, like I said, obviously not as an expert. Richard Clark has a couple really good perspectives on Asperger's, and I think he speaks of it well, or talks about it well. So if he gets on here later tonight, I don't think he's in yet. But are you here, Richard? I didn't think so. If Richard stops in a little bit, he might be finishing dinner with the family. And if he gets in, I'll ask him to chime in. There is one guy whose name escapes me at the moment who did a lot of really interesting work with hypnosis with more severe autism. Not extreme, but definitely not high-functioning Asperger's. You know, real symptomatic, you know, autism. And the interesting thing was the reports that I read and and I talked to somebody who saw the work done. The symptoms and the affect of autism could be almost completely, and in some cases completely, reduced and removed during hypnosis. And the guy, last I saw or heard from him, couldn't get those results to last post-hypnotically. But during hypnosis, all the autism affect was absent or silenced. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know what the applications of that could be, and it's not something I have explored further, but it's fascinating as hell. And I don't even know enough about Asperger's or autism to know if that's not surprising. You know, that might be somebody who knows that stuff real well might say, well, of course, and be able to give a wonderful explanation of why. But I'm not that person who knows that much. But I know that piece of trivia, which is enough to kind of further the stuff, the homework you were doing, Hillary, and hopefully that's enough to kind of keep you going and things to look at. The guy who was doing that work, I can't remember his name. I know he was also an attorney. So he was an attorney and hypnotist, and he was doing work with autism, not Asperger's, autism. So that's a thing to look for or at. So that's kind of neat. And let's see if I'm doing this on my tablet. And so trying to make sure I can see the whole chat room is a little tricky. Cool. I'm glad you're welcome, Hillary. So the thing I would like to talk about tonight, unless anybody else would like to talk further about that, and if so, or have any follow-up questions, feel free to bring them up now because it's completely on topic. Anybody? I'll put that down as a no. Anybody know the guy's name who I'm talking about? Because I can't think of it. Okay. If anybody can Google it while we're talking and it comes up, great, put it in the chat because the name escapes me at the moment. And this was at least 7 years ago, so it's been a while. And I haven't talked to anybody about it in a few years past that. So there we go. So the thing I want to talk about today is, oh, wait, are you Stephanie or are you Richard who just came in? Well, we'll wait for them to actually stick in. James, there's good stuff to look up. HPTI admin who just came in, is that Richard or Stephanie? Give them a second. I don't know if their mic is turned on yet.
That is Richard.
Richard, the topic is Asperger's, and I said if Richard gets here before too long, to share some of your thoughts on Asperger's and working with it. I think you talk about it in a way that's easy for people to kind of wrap their heads around.
Mostly, I like it with just lightly sautéed with cheese sauce.
That's good. I like it blackened myself, but that's fine. With fish.
Yeah, it goes good with fish and with pork.
Sure.
The smaller.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Oh, we need to mute. Jane, we need to mute you. You're creating echo.
What about Asperger's did we want to discuss?
Just kind of big picture. Hypnosis and Asperger's, hypnosis and high-functioning autism, that kind of stuff.
Well, people with high-functioning autism and Asperger's are now the same. They always were, really.
We did that already, yes, but keep going.
With hypnosis, just like with any child, as long as you hit on, or, well, whether it's an adult, but usually we're talking children. I don't know if we're talking adults with Asperger's or children, but either way, just like with children, if they have very selective attention, and it's very, a good way to think of it is just working with people with ADHD. Okay, so they can attend very well to something that they've locked onto, but you're not going to be able to hold their attention just with whatever you would like. So I don't know, working with people with autistic spectrum disorders and people with ADHD.
Ooh, M. Jones. Sounds from you. Muted. We just had some fancy sounds, but go ahead.
Ah, that fancy is scary.
Wow.
The screen looks really pixelated, your screen. But so I don't know. Although I'm a licensed psychotherapist and fully capable to diagnose people, I hate diagnosing people. Everyone's an individual, and so you can work with people with autism and Asperger's and ADHD and schizophrenia and bipolar if you can get into their mode of thinking and understand what it is that will be able to grab their attention and hold it and go with that. Is there a more specific question about working with someone? I mean, you're not going to cure someone with Asperger's with hypnosis. You can, just like with anybody, you can make their life, improve their quality of life, help them to relax, help them perhaps to attend better to things, help them to socialize better, whatever it is their issues are. But that's just like with anyone, working with hypnosis, you can help to improve performance, but you're not necessarily, going to provide any sort of a cure. So I don't know. Is there more specifics to the question? Who was?
It was just. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to say, yeah, thank you. That when I was working with a young man with mild Asperger's or mild autism, I was a little bit perplexed because my normal question, which might be, well, what does that feel like?
Ooh.
Didn't find much resonance because that question already is not something that resonates, did not resonate for him. And I was trying to figure out other ways to approach having an embodied sensorial experience. So that was one of, I guess that's my specific question really, is how do you work with, because it's always said, hypnotizability is the ability to bring up the five senses in a sense and go into an embodied experience. So
interesting definition.
It's not always said at my house.
That's an interesting definition. I think it's.
Not everyone has access to, to all. Well,
I'm not talking about like how we might say now, but if you read kind of in traditional books on hypnotism, it says, what is hypnotizability? What is it? Suggestibility. It's the more that somebody can envision and experience something, the more likely they are to go into. I know that we don't talk about that anymore, and we talk about light trances and
sure
different states. But anyway, that said, it just seems like with Asperger's or with autism, if I say, well, what does that feel like? Describe that to me, and that may already be over demanding.
Absolutely.
I might rephrase that from over demanding to just barking up the wrong tree and not playing to their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're on the right track there. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to use different metaphors, ask different questions, as you said, rather than asking what does it feel like. You might say, what does that make you think? How do you experience that? Or you might try to work on their feelings and say say something specific. Do you sense your breathing getting deeper, shorter? Do you can you actual more physiological feel?
Right.
Act kinesthetically. But yeah, for different people need different approaches. And overall, for myself, thinking about hypnotizability or suggestibility, is I sort of use the proof is in the pudding definition, where if someone is following your suggestions, if they're doing what you expect them to do, they're reacting the way you expect them to react, then you know, they're involved in a hypnotic process, right?
Right.
So in part, it's about knowing what you can expect from them. So you know, so yeah, people with you know, even high function. A lot of people don't even know. You know, you know, like, you know, Bill Gates and all the, you know, there's tons of high functioning Asperger's, autistic type people around that no one really even knows. You know, but I guess I'm curious, were you told the child was it a child? You're saying working with, I thought you said a child, but were you told that this is someone with Asperger's before you started working with them?
He'd been diagnosed by a specialist as having very, very mild case, so mild that it wouldn't be, you know, they wouldn't recommend a specific treatment. But yeah, somebody very definitely, you know, in that direction. Yeah. And as I was researching this online and looking at YouTube, on YouTube there are tons of people with high-functioning autism who actually talk about their experiences. I just picked up on how interesting and valuable it could be.
Well, there's
recognize the presentation of it more, so that when people come to you showing certain signs like not being able to hold visual contact, certain movements with their hands, etc., that you would just kind of have a sign that you might want to try a different approach here, or at least be sensitive to a possible different sensorial communication process.
There's a great movie. If you're doing research and and just wanting to know more, it's not a documentary. It's a biography that anybody it's just a great film. Whether you're interested in the topic or not, it's a wonderful movie about Temple Grandin. Claire Danes plays a woman named Temple Grandin, who's very high functioning, but not mild, pretty darn severe autism, and what she does with it and how she interacts based on her parents and how they coach her with what coping mechanisms work for her. And so it's called Temple Grandin, which is it's a biopic. Temple Grandin is still alive. She's an interesting woman, and it's worth checking out.
Thank you.
And James, I don't know if you've seen it, James, but just based on what you've been writing in the chat, or what you did write in the chat, watch Temple Grandin, and there's some interesting stuff from a parent's standpoint. So there you go. So that's a fun thing, and that I think this class is always fun when people come with questions. And like I said tonight, the other thing that I want to talk about is something that's been brought up in the emails that you guys send, and this one actually came through HypnoThoughts a couple days ago, and it was about converting a phone call into a client. And this person said that they'd had 2 people call for New Year's resolutions, and both people said, "I'm calling around and talking to a few hypnotists about stopping smoking, losing weight, sort of generic New Year's resolution stuff." And this guy, I won't say his name, but a guy said, long story short, neither of them came to see him. And he said, "What did I do wrong?" All right? And I think this is a great question. This is something that, and I just happened to be talking to Melissa Roth on the phone that day, and I think a lot of you know who Melissa Roth is. And I said this to her. I said, "This is a topic that needs to be discussed." And she said, "Yeah." And you know, she knows in her markets, in her areas, exactly how to close people. And that's the term, right? Closing the sale is the converting from potential to actual client. And she says, "I know exactly how to do it, but I don't know how to teach it." And I said, "I don't know if I know how to teach it either." And she says, "I know you know how to do it because you're good at BSing people." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." And I do close a high percentage of clients. If you call me and I want you as a client, you're going to end up being my client 9 times out of 10. A lot of people I refer out, and I want to be very clear about that. Just because someone calls me doesn't mean I want them to be my client. I might really want to refer them out for a number of reasons, specialty and scope of practice being 2 of them, but not the only ones. But there are times where I just say, look, this person should be with someone else. And I might send them to Richard Clark or to a drug rehab center. I was on with Richard Nongard on Sunday talking about drug rehab, and people call me. They say, "Hey, I want to quit doing drugs." I'm like, "Great. Here's the name of a couple of drug rehab centers. Go to them, and I'll work with them through those rehab centers." But closing these people, there's a couple skills and a couple things that you should be able to do. Some of it's very technique-y and just fundamentals, and some of it's mindset-based, that I want to share and talk with you guys about how to do these things. And what works for me, and I'm not saying it's the only way to do it, but it is what works for me in closing and getting clients to book an appointment. Because I can't help people that won't come see me, right? If people won't make appointments, and Benjamin Franklin said, those who won't be counseled can't be helped. And so our job is to get them in the door, right? And once we get them in the door, they've at least on some level committed. Maybe not 100%, but it's enough that we can work with, right? These are the people who have made the phone call. They are curious. So the first thing I want to emphasize, and this one we can dig into and kind of flesh out, you need to be able to ask the question they're not asking. You need to be able to answer the question that they haven't asked. Okay? Some of you go, interesting, and some of you say, what the hell does that mean? What's the question? And there isn't one. You need to figure out what question they aren't asking. And there's a few of them that I can just kind of give you some thoughts. So, someone calls and says, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. Can you help me? Or can hypnosis help me? There's a number of questions that they're asking in that question that if you can answer before they even say them out loud, or before, even better, they think them, now you're in business. Why? Before we get into the specifics, I want to talk about why. Because why is the key. Because these people are calling because they need help that they realize they can't do by themselves. They've inherently pre-selected themselves as people wanting outside help from somebody who is in some category better. And I hate air quotes, and the people who are watching the video live see that I'm doing air quotes, and those of you who are just watching the recording don't see my video and don't see the embarrassing air quotes. But in some way, by their definition, better resourced, better skilled, smarter, cooler, better at playing the banjo, whatever it is, they're calling you because they want help from someone outside themselves that isn't just their neighbor or friend. They're calling for professional help, right? So if you can be the expert, if you can be the person who not only knows how to help them lose weight, but you also know how to do this so well, let me tell you what else you're going to ask, and here are the answers to those questions. You've already created a dynamic and a relationship where they're appreciative of your ability to think ahead. As soon as you do that, in their mind, they go, this guy's smart. This guy's smarter than me. This guy's ahead of me. This guy can guide me to where I want to be. Are you guys with me on the reasoning behind why that's useful, right? Cool. And I should also mention this. Anytime I talk about business stuff, the number one tool is to be good at hypnotizing people. The number one tool is to be good as a practitioner and ethical and all those things. But we're going to assume those for the sake of this conversation. So that we can get past that part. Otherwise, we just talk about that in the first hour of everything. So, if you can answer those questions. So, hi, I'm looking to lose 30 pounds. I'm calling a number of hypnotists just to kind of do my homework. Fantastic. Let me help give you a couple of questions that you should be asking all of us. I've got some wonderful colleagues in the area. Some of them are really great at helping people. And I'd love to help you find the right fit for you. So, what they want to know, can I still eat pizza? All right? Some variation of that. Can I still eat pizza? Are you going to make me hate all food? Are there going to be rules? Do I have to go to the gym? How many sessions until I look good naked? Right? These are the questions they're asking in their mind. They don't even know they've asked them out loud to themselves yet, but this is what they want to know. How much is this going to cost? We're going to come back to that one. Okay, that one we're going to come back to because I know it's a big question for hypnotists, because we want to be helpers and healers, and I get that, and we're going to come back to it. I'm okay with it, but let's table that one because that one's common to all of these. We're talking weight loss right now. How many sessions do I have to go to the gym? What kind of diet are you putting me on? Do I, what are the rules? What are the limitations? What do I have to give up? They want to know those things. How many sessions? How frequently? All those things, right? And they're implying, when do I get to feel good? You want to answer all of those things after they ask one question. Go ahead. Who was starting to say something? I heard a sound. No? Okay. Maybe I answered your question. Maybe your question was, when do you say it? I'm a clever kid. I don't know. So it's a pace and lead thing, right? You get the rapport. Oh, how long have you been doing this? Are you some shady dude who's just put up his shingle yesterday and never took a class and is just trying to take my money and upsell me into a whole bunch of vitamins? Or are you a person with a track record? Have you done this before? Have you succeeded before? So you want to answer all of those questions in as fluid a way as you can, right? So you can, in just a couple of sentences, back and forth, you can start saying, well, look, I can give you a ballpark. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen a lot of people with this issue, and not everything works 100% of the time for 100% of the people, of course not, but I can tell you I've had great success over the years. And I can tell you what that success looks like in general, and you and I can customize things as we get to know you and what you're looking for. But without knowing anything else, I can say these things. And then you get started. So what did I just say? I just said I'm flexible. I said I'm going to customize a program to you. I said I've got success, and I've been doing this for years in the same place, which means I'm not getting chased out of town, right? So all of those things I just said in a way that puts this person at ease before they have to feel uncomfortable asking it, or before they even have to realize it's important. And as you bring these things up, they might even say, whoa, the other hypnotists I already talked to didn't tell me any of this. And I go, oh, okay, well, you can call them back and ask them. You don't have to make an appointment with me today. You can call me back if you'd rather work with me. And by the way, call as many hypnotists as you want. Do your homework. You want to connect with someone with whom you have good rapport. You want to feel good about who you're making the appointment with. So don't go for the person that hard sells you. Don't go for the person that's trying to push you. Okay? You find the person that you want. And I've got a lot of great colleagues in this area, and I'm sure that you can get results, or I'm confident that you can get results with a whole lot of them. And that is the sincere truth. And some of you who are being picky might notice I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying most. And that is because it's the truth. It is my honest assessment of my colleagues. Notice I am not saying anything negative about any colleagues. I am focusing on the positive. I do have a number of colleagues in the area that are wonderfully talented and have helped a lot of people. There are a few people in my area that aren't good at their job. Okay, I'm not going to talk about them. It's not professional. It's not polite. So I just kind of sidestep that. And do not slam another hypnotist to try to get a job. Don't you dare, be mean to another hypnotist behind their back so that you can make a couple bucks. We don't need that. Don't do that. Oh, cool, Hillary. Thanks for the research link in the chat room about hypnosis for autism. Very cool. HypnosisMinneapolis.com. Cool. Gar just asked, any plans for HPTI to create a weight loss program? I'm liking the smoking program so far. Gar, I'm glad you're liking the smoking program. Conceptually, we'd like to do a weight loss program. There are a number of people who are doing variations of gastric band and bariatric and all that stuff. And there are so many different approaches. And if we were going to teach a class on it, I would want the class to be versatile. I wouldn't want the class to be a gastric bypass or a gastric band or a bariatric. any of those that are out there that are programs. Not saying anything negative about those, but I would want the class to be more flexible than that. So we've been adding some other classes. I don't know if you were in here when I mentioned that we were adding some other classes. That one, it's on our agenda, but no classes on our radar. Let's put it that way. Someone just asked privately, what do you think about allowing another hypnotist to use your session rooms for their clients? I'll tell you exactly how I feel about that. It happened in my office today. I did not see a single client in my office today because my office was being used by another hypnotist who had 5 clients in there all day today. And we scheduled them out so that he could have the office for the day. I think it's a great thing, and the more we can do to help other hypnotists, the better. And so that. I think it's a great, anything you can do to help another hypnotist that doesn't hurt you, you should always do. We need each other's help. Our profession is barely a profession, and we are on such a fringe of the outskirts of what is recognized in the world that anything we can do to help each other out is a wonderful thing. So I would encourage you, as if you trust the person, to do it. So those are some ideas on weight. Smoking, right? Someone calls and goes, how many sessions, how much it costs, all those questions. And you tell them, look, here's what I would say. I'll tell you this. I've worked with a lot of people who stop smoking. Some people, they're a light switch and they change overnight, one session, and they never touch a cigarette again. That's great. Some people take up to 3 sessions, and they cut back, and they cut back a little bit more, and then they're done. We'll find the way that does it for you so that you can feel comfortable through the process and so that it is easy, because people learn in different ways. You can say something like that. Again, you're going to their implied questions. Do I have to quit when I come in? No, you can quit whenever you want. And we've got to make sure you really want this. Those sorts of things. But let's get the price. And then you guys can, if you want, we can kind of talk through some of these other things. But I want to talk about price for a minute, because here's how to do this one, because I hear a lot of hypnotists screw this one up really badly. Okay? And here's how this works. They say, how much do you charge? Here's your response. You tell them the answer with a number, and then you shut the hell up. You do not defend and rationalize your price. You do not convince them that your price is worth it. Okay? They are in charge of doing that. They get to decide if you're worth it to them or not you. Because that reeks of insecurity. How much do you charge? I charge $50 a session. How much do you charge? I charge $100 a session. How much do you charge? $200 a session. And then you wait for them to talk. The next person to talk is not going to be you. No, I charge $200 a session. Well, that's a lot. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a real commitment of finances. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not nothing. But here's what I can do. If that's outside your price range, and that's absolutely understandable, and if it's just something you can afford with me, no problem. I can help refer you to somebody that's more in your budget. I have some colleagues in the area that are more affordable than I am. And this is about the price range for what's normal in the area. And this is about the price range of the people that I can refer you to. And if you are looking for those people, I'd be happy to give you their contact information, and you can give them a call and see if they're what you're looking for. Why don't they charge as much as you? I don't know. You can call them and ask them yourself. They're great people. It's not because they're bad people, I'll tell you that. You do not defend your price. Say your price and shut up. I know the feeling. I've had the feeling. You're saying a big number. And then you feel like you have to convince them that that's okay. They'll convince them if it's okay or not. That's their job. They know their finances. They know their budget. They know their life situation. You don't. You just tell them what you charge. And I hear so many hypnotists talk themselves out of a sale by sounding insecure right there. These are people calling because they need help from somebody who's a professional and who's ready to give them help. And if you aren't ready to stand by your price, and by the way, I charge $100 a session. But if you can't afford that, we can work something out. We can find something. I'm not really worried about how much I'm going to make out of this. I'm just worried about focusing on helping you. These are sentences that make people not come see you. Because these are sentences that make people think you're not a professional. And they'll be right when they think that. Because you're in the barter system. And we don't trade with chickens and pigs anymore. We use money because it's easier. Because I don't want to carry a wallet full of chickens. Okay? So we use money. Tell them your price and shut up. Gar, people can do that, okay? Gar just asked, how about mentioning the continued cost for smoking in comparison, right? You go, I charge $100. My stop smoking program's $400. Whatever you want to say. Let's say that's the case. My stop smoking program's $400. And you know that pays for itself this fast. You wait till they've talked again. If they have a problem, then you can respond. But don't assume there's a problem with your price because it implies there's a problem with your price. If they go, whoa, that's pretty pricey, you can say, well, how expensive is smoking? And then you can get in. Or they go, well, is this covered by insurance? Now let's get into this. This is another implied question. Is this covered by insurance? This is a great question for you to be able to answer in advance. Okay, here's the answer for that. A lot of insurance plans can cover a portion of hypnosis sessions. But you get insurance as well as I do. There's a ton of different plans, and I don't know yours. Here's what I can do. I can give you the insurance code that is the procedure code that is used in billing hypnosis. You can call your insurance company and give them this number and ask them if it is covered in your plan. Also, I don't accept insurance. I will give you an invoice with that number on it, and you can get reimbursed by your insurance company. And the reason I do that, it's called super billing. It's very common now in medical and dental and psych worlds because they'll pay you faster than they'll pay me. They'll pay the patient or the client faster than they pay the care provider, which is why so many people are moving in that direction. Because if I have 30 clients that I'm waiting for all their insurance for the last 90 days, I can go bankrupt waiting for all of those because I've got no money coming in yet, right? So if I get paid now and then you get reimbursed, it's much easier for everybody. So here's the insurance code you're using. It is procedure code 90880. I'll say it again. Procedure code 90880. That's the only procedure code you're using. That is the code for doing hypnotherapy. And you can give them an invoice. By the way, if you're going to be doing super billing, though, you need to be an incorporated company because you need to put your social security number or your tax ID number on that. And if you don't have a limited liability company, you will be putting your social security number on things and mailing it to people. So you are only going to be doing this piece if you are incorporated. If you're not incorporated, this part does not apply to you. You can get tax deductions for stop smoking. Other people know how to do that. I don't get into it, though. As a former radio sales trainer, the ability to know when to shut up is one of the best sales tools you have. James, yes. People talk themselves out of their own sales. People talk themselves out of their own clients because they sound defensive and they sound insecure. This is my rate. Which one of you has gone to McDonald's and negotiated? Anybody? Come on. Can I have half a fries? Give me a half a fries. What if you don't fill the Coke all the way? Can I get it for half? No one does that. We just accept that those are the numbers. They're a billion-dollar company. They're making like $10 billion a year. Some crazy number, right? They can afford it. Why do I? Come on. Doesn't hurt you, doesn't hurt me. I get some French fries. Let's talk. No one does that. We just accept that these are the rules. Anybody go buy shoes this year, go into Nike and say, I think it's a little high. How about we take $25? You don't negotiate your shoes. Now, there are certain scenarios in which you are willing and it's appropriate to negotiate, like cars and things like that, and that's culturally appropriate. You do not want to have a relationship with your clients that I have with my car dealer or you have with your car dealer. And I tell my clients exactly that. I don't negotiate my price because I don't want the first part of our relationship to be a negotiation. Because in a negotiation, we are on opposite sides and one of us wins. And I'm unwilling to create that relationship with my clients. I don't want one of us to feel like they beat the other one. Because let's say you out-negotiate me and you get a lower price. Do you really want to go see the person for help that you just out-negotiated? Of course not. That would mean I'm not good enough at being manipulative to help you. And if I win, well, now you're going to be resentful because you just lost a battle with me. And I don't want to help you lose more. I want to help you get more. So here's my price. I don't negotiate. Simple. No, Gar, it doesn't get quiet for too long because they called me. Gar said, I bet things get real quiet if both sides know about the shutting up strategy. Not in this case. I mean, I'm sure in other business contexts when it's, some hotel deal going down for $1 billion or something crazy. But this isn't that. This is much smaller. This is a person who's looking for help. This is a person who's looking for help. And you can offer that help, and all you need to do is impress upon them that you have the ability. By answering the questions that they don't ask and proving that you've been around, that you have the skills, that hypnosis does work, and that you're worth it, and that they can trust you. These are the things to talk about. You've had success in this area. The results look something like this. Yes, you can still eat pizza if you want to. No, that's the way I do weight loss. You can eat whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to tell you not to eat things, and I'm not going to do any aversion therapy. No, that's not what we're doing. The problem, you're 30 pounds overweight. The problem isn't pizza. It's more complicated than that. It's more involved than just pizza. If we did everything else right and you ate pizza, you'd lose weight. The idea that we can't make things flexible for you is silly. You're a flexible person, and we can make adjustments on the fly based on your priorities. We can do that. Of course we can make adjustments and figure out your priorities. Let's figure out what they are when you're in here on Tuesday. Oh, scheduling. Let's talk about that. When they say, when can I come in? Here's what you don't say. I've only got 2 clients. Come in anytime you want. Oh, anything after 3, Wednesday and Thursday is good. Tuesdays before noon and Fridays between 6 and 6:45. Give them, there's 2 ways to do this, okay? There's 2 ways to do this. You go, look, I'm booked out pretty far in advance. If that's true. Don't lie. I've got nothing left this week. If that's true. You can also say, I've only got a couple openings left this week. Is Monday or Tuesday better for you? Okay, Tuesday's better? Okay, Tuesday I have 2 options. Always give them 2 options and no more than 2 options. Okay? Because if you give them more, it's hard for them. Just make this easy. Give them 2 options, paper or plastic. Do you like coming in before or after lunch? And then we can start narrowing it. Is there a day of the week that tends to be better for you or a time of day that tends to be better for you? See, I just gave them 2 options. You get to prioritize on time or day. Once you've done that, I'm going to show you what's available to me. Some people work in construction and they got to get to work early, but they got to get off early so you can be here by 4. If you can be here by 4, well, I got 3 days open this weekend, if that works for you. But if Tuesday's the only day that works for you, no problem. I've got Tuesday at 11 and I've got Tuesday at 3. Which works better for you? See what I'm saying? See how that works? You make it easy for them to just pick one. Don't make them go through their whole calendar and scrolling through these things and weighing options. Oh, traffic will be like this. No, it's just make it worth it. Just be worth their time. That's all they really want. They don't care if you're convenient. They care if you're worth it. They don't care if you're easy or cheap. They want you to be worth it. Convenient and cheap, nah, worth it. That's all anybody wants, is it worth it? Not is it easy and not is it hard, is it worth it? That's what we get done. Be worth it. Be willing to send them out the door. Be willing to refer them out because they can sense that and that's helpful. I have referred, and I decided to count. I counted it. I have referred 23 clients out since Christmas. Since December 25th, I have referred 23 phone calls away. That's a lot of numbers, right? That's a lot of people who've called that I've said, no, you're not coming to see me. And I've referred them out. I'm only taking the clients that I want to see. Was it always that way? Absolutely not. Oh, gosh. I remember being starving. I remember being hungry. I remember trying to get any clients I could. But even then, it is good business. Even then, even when you don't have enough clients, even when you're still looking at scraping on rent, even then, and I've been there. I have absolutely been there. I have been at, couldn't afford a television, couldn't afford internet, couldn't afford food every single day, couldn't afford an office. I've been there. So most of you already know the whole story. I won't dig into all of it because it's repetitive and ridiculous. But I've been there. Even and especially when you're getting started, you need to make sure you're referring out when it's appropriate to refer out. You need to understand your scope of practice. You need to understand that these people need help, and if you aren't qualified or prepared for whatever reason, you've got to send them to someone who is. This is someone's family who needs your help, and you've got to do for this person what you would want done for your family. You've got to send them to the person with the experience, training, skills, or whatever to help. And sometimes that's going to be you. Plenty of times it's going to be you. But sometimes the best thing you're going to do is refer out. And I promise I've built my practice on referring out as much as getting referred in. Referring out gets you clients. Referring out gets people trusting you, and referral sources trusting you. That's a whole different piece, though. And we're not going to get too far into that because we're 4 minutes late. So, that's the talk on closing and how to convert a potential client into an actual client and how to get people in your door after New Year's resolutions. I hope you guys like this. If you guys are watching the recordings, please keep sending, or if you guys are live, please keep sending questions via email. Please keep sending topics via email, and please keep sharing these YouTube videos because word is getting out and people are really liking these, and thank you to everybody. So I will see you guys all same time next week. Have a good one. Good night.